What's up, guys? My name is Tammy.
My name is David Anderson.
It's Jillian Simmons.
My name is Johnny Holland.
It's Milton Harris from Hustle Fit.
This right here, this is my boss life. Hey, it's Jillian Simmons. You know me as JJ on 97.9 The Box. This right here, this is my boss life. My life has been pretty interesting. A total of 11 schools, including college. I went to a lot of schools. It wasn't because I moved so much. It was more so because my mom was just bananas. So she would always get into it with administration. I'd end up, going to different schools. So what really sucked is I wasn't able to have a whole lot of friends until I got older. So I lived in Springfield, then we moved to Dayton, Ohio. It's where I graduated, one of the best schools in Ohio, Kettering-Fairmont High School. And I went off to college. I wanted to go to an HBCU so bad. I went to Clark Atlanta University, and I ran out of money. I got down there and I didn't understand like the cost of college, and because neither one of my parents had been to college, nobody could explain it to me. So I came back. I went to Wright State University. I was there for about a year. I was Miss Black Wright State University. That's my princess wave. And I ended up leaving school. I was working in radio at the time. Didn't have the opportunity to pledge. I really wanted to pledge in a certain sorority. But while the line was going on, I was working. So, and that was my priority, because it's what I really wanted to do, was to be on the radio. So I got my first job while I was in college. Well, technically I got my first job in high school. I came back to that radio station to work for them. And I really sucked. And I remember my brother used to call me like, yo, I'm listening to you, you sound horrible. And I did. But eventually I got better, because that's what it's all about. Practice makes perfect. And I had an opportunity to work in my hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio, for this station called WIZF. And so I went there and I worked for 3 years. I went to the University of Cincinnati, and then I quit school. I decided, it was really hard because I wanted to get my degree, but at the same time, I didn't need it, I was already working in my field. I'm making great money, and I'm trying to get a degree to be a radio personality when I had been a radio personality since high school. So, so I left school, and my dream was to move to New York City. So I left Cincinnati and I moved to New York. I saved up all the little money that I had, like a whole $1,000. I was like, yeah, got this money, about to go to New York. And I moved with my boyfriend at the time. He was also on radio, and we decided we would do this. So he found the place in Brooklyn. And so I had not seen it until I actually moved there. And so when I got to Brooklyn, I was like, this is where we live at, huh? Yeah. And we were in Bed-Stuy, home of Biggie, So, and literally 2 blocks from Marcy Projects. And it was a different experience, living in New York. I didn't have a job, he didn't have a job. I ended up doing makeup at Macy's in Brooklyn. So that was really interesting too. And then I called the program director at the radio station every single day for 3 months. And except for Saturdays and Sundays, they're closed. And I got on his nerves until he finally gave me an opportunity to meet with him. And he listened to my air check, and he was like, you sound all right. Let's see what you can do, kid. Put you on the weekends. So he gave me a weekend job. And then the girl who was doing the night shift ended up getting fired. And so I ended up taking her slot doing nights. So I was going up against Funkmaster Flex. whoever he is. And it was a wonderful opportunity, because to go from doing overnights, which is basically like 12 in the morning to 6 o'clock is what I was doing in Cincinnati, to coming to New York and being on a primetime air shift was really huge. And it built my confidence up. I felt like, you know, Vinnie Brown, who was the program director at the time, you know, to give me an opportunity of a lifetime, it was a dream come true. And I had an opportunity to work with Wendy Williams. You know, that's somebody who I had always looked up to, I always admired. Maybe not necessarily agreed with everything that Wendy, you know, has said or talked about, but she's great at what she does. She really mastered her craft. And so I remember the first day Wendy went on the air, like I'm like a kid, like listening to Wendy, like, oh my God. So Wendy came to BLS, and I'm like, Wendy, I'm working with Wendy, and I'm listening to her show, and she's like, yeah, this girl JJ, she walks around here showing off her belly ring, and I'm like, I don't even have a belly ring. What's she talking about? And I'm like, just excited, like Wendy's talking about me and it's like, you work with her, like. But you know, that excitement didn't go away, because she's somebody I really, really admire. A couple of things happened that year too. Aaliyah died that year, which was really traumatic, because I really loved Aaliyah. I was the last person to interview her in New York City before she passed. You know, I felt like me and Aaliyah were like the same person. I can't sing though, or dance, but I still felt like there was some connection. Like, you know, she was girly, but yet she was a tomboy at the same time, you know? So that was really hard. And then 9/11 happened. And then that experience also helped me to realize that New York isn't for me. Like, I want to be closer to my people, my friends, and my family. New York City wasn't the city for me. It was a dream come true. It was like one of those things that say, okay, I did it. I did New York. All right. I'm not feeling this whole riding 3 trains to work every day, and I don't see grass anywhere. And what are these pigeons? They're everywhere. Like, I want to see real birds, like all kinds of birds, and rats. They got rats. They got real rats. So, and real roaches. So it was too much. And I wanted something else. I really learned while I was there what I valued more than anything, and I valued my comfort. And so I left and I went back to Ohio. I worked at a station for 3 or 4 months in Dayton, Ohio. I was a manager. It's my first management position, and I got fired. It was my first time getting fired. And I was like, what? I got fired. And I just never pictured like ever getting fired, of course. And then when you do think about, like, you know, I got fired and I left, and I was like, man, I should have told everybody how I felt. But I actually like was so devastated. I was crying and everything. But it was my first experience understanding politics, and just like, you know what, I had to check myself, like, you know, in the corporate world, the fact is you gotta play the game. Like, it's a game and you need to learn how to play it. And you know, sometimes you need to learn when it's right to speak up about things, and sometimes you gotta pick your battles. And so that's what I got from that experience. Ironically, 6 months later, I kept, you know, trying to find different jobs that I felt were good for me, and I had offers, but I knew what I wanted. And like I said, I value my comfort, so I knew I wasn't gonna go to a city that I didn't feel comfortable in. And so 6 months later, I ended up working for the same company. They ended up hiring me back because they knew I was right. And so I go back, or it's in a different city, Indianapolis. And I was in Indianapolis for 10 years. And it's the longest station I've ever worked for. And during that time, I got married, had a baby, divorced, got in a relationship with a sociopath, went through depression. I just had back-to-back experiences when I was in Indianapolis, and after 10 years, I was like, you know what, it's time for a move. So in 2010, I took a trip with some friends to Mexico, and on our way back, I was at the airport in Houston. I'd never been to Houston before, so this is the only time I had ever been in Houston was at the airport. And I got a phone call from this program director, Terry Thomas, and I had worked with her prior in Cincinnati. She was my music director there, like, you know, maybe 15 years prior. And Terry calls me and she says, how would you like to come to Houston? And I was like, I'm in Houston right now. She's like, I mean to stay, like to have a job. We got an opening, think it would be great for you once you come audition for it. I was like, I will stay for real. So I auditioned for it and I got the job, and I've been here ever since. It'll be 4 years in November. And it's been great. I feel like this is home for me. This is the perfect fit for me. The people here are amazing. The food is amazing. Helping me to gain pounds, thank you. And I work for a team that they have unbelievable talent and unbelievable leadership. Yeah, I think that it's just important to know that any terrible experience that you have is something that you can learn from. It's going to always be something. So, you know, what did I learn from being in a relationship with someone who was mentally and emotionally abusive? Well, I learned a lot about myself. You know, because of that situation, I had to go through therapy. And within the therapy, I found out a lot of things about myself. Why do I attract people like that? What is it that I was looking for in him, you know, that caused me to stay attached to him? Well, it's because there were things that I didn't get from my mother that I was looking for in this man. You know, overall, why was this experience important? Well, I had to go through it so that I could share this with other people who are going through the same thing. So I feel like every experience that we have, you know, is to provide us with a testimony to share with other people so that we can help to change other people's lives.
We want to let our youth know that there are so many other ways to be successful. What would you tell your 18-year-old self or another 18-year-old?
Man, Jillian. Let me tell you, 18-year-old self, I would have told myself to network more. Without a doubt, especially by the time I was 18. I mean, by the time I was 18, I had met so many amazing people in the industry, but just didn't understand how to network with people, you know? By 18, I had already met Diddy. I had met, like, just imagine if I would have known what to say at that point. You know, I could have been Diddy's right-hand man. I could have been Farnsworth Bentley. No, I don't know if that was a good thing or not, but yeah, but I could have been at a different level in my life. Sure, I could have been, you know, little Oprah Jr. or something, but networking, I think, would have been one of the key things that I would have told myself. I would have also told myself to take more risks. I've always been a risk taker. Obviously, moving to New York with no money and no job, can't get any better than that, but I would have continued that, and I think I still got a little comfortable when I got to Indianapolis and I didn't step out and try new things. A lot of people have always told me, you know, you should do TV, you should do TV. I did TV for 8 years, I stopped, and just now getting back into that, and that's something that I think I could have really taken off if I would have pursued it a little bit earlier. You know, not everybody is a boss. And I'm just gonna be honest. everyone should have confidence. Everybody should have in their mind that they can be a boss, but not everybody is created for that. So to me, you know, boss life is more than just I'm handling my business, but I'm also helping to teach other people how to handle their business. It's not always about you. It's not, to me, being a boss is not all about getting money, you know, like it's just not. It's about what are you able to give back to somebody else? What legacy are you leaving for other people? And it's gotta be more than just paper. I'm a boss.